So I've been thinking today about the idea of where we are granted the authority to wonder. And so this might seem like a bit of an arbitrary perspective because, in a sense, wondering transcends authority in a lot of senses. But if we just instead focus on the word authority, it does seem to be pretty constrictive on that notion. But if we go there, we arrive at a place of hierarchy, or perhaps if we are less reductionistic or focused on that scheme of authority, then there's a broader sense of community that's implied in the notion of authority. And so what kind of communities are there of wonder? Communities of wonder. We could think the scientific community, the contemplative community of philosophical or spiritual thought. And why are these communities of wonder? Well, they're the places from which seems the grandest authority to wonder is granted, the grandest sense of authority. And why I think in terms of science, in terms of wonder? Well, regardless of the reductionist or materialist metaphysics that comes with these things, make no mistake, the contemporary cosmological or contemporary physical narratives circulating around why we're here and what we're doing here are nonetheless take place in a very wonder-oriented mode of thinking without even intending to do so, even often in the attempts to not do so. Make no mistake, these are wandering communities in the grandest sense. These are, if we step outside of the language of authority and community for a second, these are places of grand wonder, thinking in terms of the cosmos. Even if we refine the focus there, thinking in terms of any particular model-dependent form of contemporary science. So trying to think in terms of how we can situate all these models, the biological, the physical, the chemical, into a grander narrative is the place, the seat of a grand form of wonder that we have to take very seriously, I think. And so seeing these in terms of opposition with other communities of wonder might do the favor of granting a more wondrous approach in the grander historical sense, like it has. Like people like to think of the warring camps of, for example, our religious and our scientific communities, but these are both communities of wonder in a grand sense. It's hard to imagine there being any ultimate form of wonder that doesn't include a dialogue between these two, an intersection at least in some sense. And this is where I want to go with this notion of the authority to wonder. Who's granted the authority to wonder? Well, it's not granted unless it's in some sense taken. And if it's taken, it's something we, to use the German philosophy language, German idealism, it's a willed activity. It's us exploring our own freedom to wonder. And so are we free from contemporary physical models and laws? Well, no. But are we free from the grand questions associated with bringing these all into a unified picture? Well, no, we're not free from that either. But we're free to explore them. And it's not a freedom of degrees of freedom like in the physical sciences. It's a different kind of freedom. It's a kind of freedom of without degrees. There's no degree of freedom that describes the freedom I'm trying to think in terms, but it's an explorative freedom. So to answer the question, the authority to wonder is only given by ourselves within whichever community we hope to express that.